What you are witnessing is footage never seen before by civilized humanity. Coming this year to an empire you're in. Egypt, land of the Pharaoh. A vast unexplored barren wilderness covered with sand, dead Frenchmen, and shrouded by mystery and the fog of war, until now. But who dare set foot in this inhospitable barren hellscape, you ask? Lots of people in history, as it turns out. And now, none other than myself, Sir Edmund Digby Smythe, famous explorer, ivory poacher, and now Egyptologist. My mission to uncover and preserve the lost secrets of this ancient land, and harvest them for the good of humanity.
By Jove, I can't wait to uncover thousands of old artifacts. And when we find them, we must preserve them. Peoples from far and wide must come and respect their cultural heritage in a British museum. I think you know the one.
Yes, well, our museum's exhibits have been looking a little bit bare recently. That is, of course, why we commissioned Sir Edmund Digby Smythe to go on an expedition for us. At first, he suggested Greece, and, well, I pointed out that we had actually recently had an exhibit on the classical Hellenistic period of Greek history. Then he suggested Rome, and, well, I pointed out that we'd actually done that twice before. We dabbled with the idea of digging medieval again, but I thought, no, there's probably not any appetite for that amongst our patrons. Then we got on to Empire, which of course led to the man himself, Napoleon, and that got me thinking, aha, Egypt. Now there's a place we've not explored anywhere near enough yet. And frankly, I wasn't sure there was anywhere else left to look.
The pyramids. Moving on. I, Sir Edmund Digby Smythe, sincerely believe that during the 12th century BC, these lands were dominated by total war. Imagine for a moment, if you will, huge battles that took place on this very spot, or possibly a turn or two in that direction, or any direction. I think it's high time we consulted our military history specialist and battle advisor to inform you of how these battles took place.
Battles at this time in the 12th century BC tended to start with both sides lining up their men in formation. Typically, armies would have spearmen in the middle, archers in front of them, to the flanks, if they have them, chariots, camels, ready in case there is the opportunity during the course of the engagement to do a flanking manoeuvre. Of course, when the fighting begins in the pre-designated battle area, they would charge forward, but not too quickly, just in case they don't want to get fatigued before the fighting actually begins. Egyptian archers at this point in their history tend to be very ripped, and they wear skimpy little outfits. Hardly any protection at all, they all look the same, and of course, if they do want to survive the battle, they can fire arrows. Now these are terrifying and can pretty much destroy anything that they land on. Famously, on one particular hieroglyph, it has a fire arrow going through 4 individuals, skewering them to the front door of the palace. Unlike modern arrows, many of these Egyptian arrows, when fired, would leave a trail behind them, something like a jet engine flying through the sky, so you can see where they came from and where they land.
How fascinating! You now rejoin us in the company of our archaeological expert, Alexander. We pulled him from some backwater dig site in Suffolk. Sodden Boo or something? Tell me, Alexander, what have you found here in Egypt?
Well, to be honest with you, sir, it's all made of sand. So it's been a right pain in the arse so far.
Oh. Wait, what's this you're uncovering now? It looks like the skeletal remains of some kind of ancient Egyptian warrior. Could this be some vast army of the undead lying below our very feet?
Well, that seems rather unlikely if you ask me. I'd say it's more probable that they died and decomposed there. That's why there's no blood and gore. They didn't buy the DLC anyway.
Yes, another possible interpretation. Isn't history fascinating? But how might they have died? You can't answer that, can you? But I know a man who can. Take a pretty good guess.
Once the melee begins, it really becomes every man for themselves, and individuals find a target to fight against. And that, of course, is something that the movies do rather well. There was a lot of respect in combat at this time. Once a person had picked their mark, they would face each other or dance around a bit until they were ready to engage. And then no one else would join in that particular combat. As in combat through history, the weather plays an important part. There are hieroglyphs of people complaining about the weather. And as an Englishman, I can relate to that. Sometimes the weather would mean people went home to their tents before the battle was even over.
We hope you've enjoyed this educational guide to Egypt. Next week, join us as we follow Suppiluliuma's rise to the throne of the Hittite Empire in Bronze Age Anatolia. And after that, who knows? Maybe medieval Europe again? If we're lucky, yes? Anyway, I think that's it, isn't it?
Oh, what became of Sir Edmund, you ask? Yes, well, there was a lot of talk, of course, before the expedition took place of a curse that, yes, if he was to delve too deep into the tombs, that 12 plagues would befall his family. But Sir Edmund being Sir Edmund, he took no warning of the local guides, and he did delve very deep, yes. Found some quite lovely things, in fact. As it turns out, he was actually quite right to do so. There was indeed no curse. He's actually doing rather well, yes. Turned in his notice as the museum's local explorer and resident ivory hunter just the other week. Yes, that was the last we saw of Sir Edmund Digby Smythe. I believe he went on to become a video game streamer, in fact, yes. I hear it was the release of the game Total War Pharaoh that did it for him, the grand strategy game with real-time battles, set in the 12th century BCE in the regions of Anatolia, the Levant, and Egypt. Yes, in fact, it was almost like you took the contents of one of his documentary films and put it into a video game. Yes, it's actually rather a splendid idea, in fact. Yes. I seem to believe that in his last letter that he wrote to us, in fact, he mentioned something about using the link in the description and on screen now to download the game. Whatever that means. Yes. Anyway, see if we can fit that better this way up.